Okay, so thank you very much. It's 11 o'clock, so let's get started. So my name is Donna O'Toole, and I have been helping businesses to win awards for a very long time, including the National Business Awards. So I'm here today to help you to understand more about the National Business Awards competition, more about writing your entry, and to give you some tips and tricks that can help you along the way. Now, just to introduce myself fully, so I run an awards consultancy called August, and we help businesses all over the world with all sorts of different awards, from everything from the National Business Award to the Queen's Awards to every kind of industry award you can think of. Now, if you haven't been involved in this webinar before, just to give you some sort of headlines here. So there is an area where you can ask me questions. Now, I would fully support these and fully encourage you to ask as many questions as you can, because this is your opportunity to find out more information and to, answer those questions that may be going around in your head about whether you should enter, which category you should enter, and all these kind of things, which will help you today. Okay, so use the chat box in the attendee questions. Now, I will get those questions through, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave those to the end, and I'll answer them all together at the end. So you've got plenty of time to think about what it is that you'd like to say. So a little bit about the National Business Awards before we start, if you haven't entered the competition before. It's widely known in the awards industry as probably the most prestigious general business award there is out there. And there's all sorts of different categories that you can use to recognise your business, and you don't have to just pick one, you can pick more than one. And I always say, if you've got a really good project or really good business growth or a really good story to tell, then the chances are it probably will actually fit into more than one category, and you'd be better off maximising your chances. So we'll talk about how you can do that as well. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk to you about winning awards in general and why they're such hard work to achieve. And then I'm going to take you through my plan for this presentation, and then we're going to have questions at the end. So first of all, just to set the scene, why are we out there winning awards? Well, I think we need to recognise the fact that life's pretty hard in business right now. It's pretty hard all round, and I fully appreciate you taking time out from what's been pretty much chaotic week or couple of weeks for everybody, managing the situation with the coronavirus. And it's interesting, actually, because a lot of people have said to me, oh, how's it going in the awards industry? What's happening in the awards industry? And actually, the answer is the show must go on. So, yes, occasionally events will have to be moved or run virtually. Luckily, not for the National Business Awards, because they're all planned for the autumn months. So we're good for this one. But the idea behind awards is essentially giving your business the credibility that it needs to build trust with customers, so that you can take that trust to build brand loyalty, and that brand loyalty will build your business. And I can't think of a better time to do it, quite frankly, than now, because when we do all come out of this very difficult situation, we're going to need to really hit the ground running, and we're going to need to have some good PR. We're going to need to be able to tell our customers, look, you can trust us. We got through this. We're here. Look at all our great stories. Look at the great things we've been achieving. You're also going to need to give some recognition to your teams who've got you through it. However you've had to manage to do that, you will get through this, and you'll get through it together. And giving them recognition for their contribution to your business and how they've kept you going together is going to be incredible, and going to be incredibly motivating for them. I think an important point that I want to make right at the beginning, though, is that, and something that people I think don't realise about awards necessarily, awards look back at your past achievements. They're not taking a slice or a snapshot in time from what's happening right now in your world. They're looking back. Now, the National Business Awards looks back over the last 3 years of your business. So if your business has been growing, if you've had some good projects, if you've done some transitions and transformations, if you've created new services or products, or you've just led a really great business, over the last 3 years, it doesn't actually really matter what's happening right now. It matters what's happened already. So don't think, oh my goodness, I'm really struggling right now and it's really difficult and we just don't know what's going to happen over the next few months. So I don't know really whether I'll be deserving of, our business will be deserving of an award in November because, who knows what's going to happen over the next 6 months. You have to put that to one side. That's what's going to happen. But awards are looking at what's already happened. Okay. So think back, think what's been happening in your business for the past 3 years and how can you utilize that to now help it push you forward after this is all over. And once we get stuck back into business fully and properly, back in the autumn. Now, there's of course always going to be businesses as well that actually thrive in these kind of markets because they're the businesses that are the essential needs that we have, that we all need to plug into and utilize. So you might be running one of those businesses and thinking, oh, hang on a minute, we're going crazy busy. So you can talk about this in your awards as well. So it's really a case of horses for courses here. Whatever's happening in your business, whether you're finding it really difficult right now, but you've had a good run previously, or you've had a good run previously and actually now it's just spiked because actually you're going crazy busy. Either way, we can swing that in a way that's going to work for you for awards. So please don't let this current situation put you off and actually use this current situation to take the time to enter the awards that you probably didn't have the time to enter before and get the recognition and the PR and the opportunities from the awards that will help to just springboard your business forward later on. Okay, so what I'm going to go through today is basically what's our ultimate goal, and all of our ultimate goals are to win the awards because there's a lot of award entering that goes on, but obviously not quite so much winning for a lot of people. And I get a lot of feedback from people who contact me to say, why do I always enter and get shortlisted, but we never win? It's classic, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. So what I want to do is help you to find your way forward and into a winning position. So I've got 5 key areas that we're going to cover today. The first one is how to identify your award-winning unique selling point. Then we're going to go into how to choose a winning category, how to write an outstanding story, how to present your evidence, and how to impress the judges. And as I said, if you post your questions in the chat box while I'm talking, then I can answer them at the end during the Q&A there. Okay, so please don't be shy. You can talk to me in the chat box as well. You can say hi and test it out and have a go. So please, don't be shy. This is I'm here to be interactive, and I'd much rather talk to you than just talk to the screen. And also, there's not really a lot of awards questions that I haven't been asked in the past, I don't think, would be fair to say. So, feel free to test me out and see where my knowledge goes. Hopefully I won't fall down for you. So, okay, we're going to get started then with what's your award-winning unique selling point. So people think, oh, okay, well, what's this? I haven't really come across this before. So essentially, I always say that if you don't run in the right race, you don't actually have a chance of winning. And from my awards judging experience, I would say that probably half of the entries that I judge end up in the wrong category because what they think is necessarily amazing about their business isn't really necessarily what always comes across in their award entry. So there's a lot to think about to find your award-winning unique selling point. And I'd say at this point, if you haven't got a pen and paper, then maybe get one. Only for your own benefit so you can scribble down, some ideas while I'm talking. Also, just to note for you that this is being recorded, so you will receive a copy afterwards. So don't panic too much if you miss anything, okay? So the first thing that all award-winning businesses, teams and individuals have in common is that they don't just operate well, they do something special that makes them stand out. So before you even choose what to enter, you've got to find this unique selling point for your business or for your achievements over the last 3 years. And then you can use this to choose the right category. So use your pen and paper and start writing down what you think it is that really sets you apart in your business apart from your competitors. So is it your people? Is it something that they're doing or the way that you're training them or the way that they're delivering the service? Is it your products? So it's something you've actually producing is different. Is it your community support? Is it your CSR? What is it that's different about you that you can say, truly, we do this differently to our competitors. This is unique to us, okay? It might just be down to the way that you're constructed. It might be down to some software you're implementing. It might be down to the support that you're giving the customers and how you're doing that. So you've got to think about how that works. Now, the next thing to think about is what are the most notable or exciting achievements that have happened in your business over the last 12 to 24 months, let's say. So have you given your customers' needs a bit extra thought and done something to create a better experience for them? Have you taken a new idea further than anyone else has dared and achieved great results from it? Have you given your colleagues or your employees even the extra support that they needed to grow the business? Whatever it is, make a list and then pick out which initiatives have created the biggest commercial results. So that's linking the biggest return on investment in your business, the biggest growth in turnover, and the biggest growth in profits back to your business. What's actually created that? What's made it happen? Okay? Because often this is the missing link in an award entry. People are talking about their great projects, but they're not talking about how that's creating commercial growth. And that's what we need to see. That's essentially what you're going to be measured on. So you've got the story and then you've got the evidence. And we'll go through both of those later. But this is how you need to make that link right at the beginning. And then you've got your unique selling point. Okay, here we go. Now we've worked out what it is that actually has been making a difference to the business and has helped us to move forward and has helped us to grow. That's the thing. That's the key to the award success. So which category does that fit best into for you? Okay, it's different for everyone. Which category does it fit best for you? Or maybe it fits a few categories. Okay. So if you've got any questions on that, on finding your unique selling point, please put them in the chat box and I'll come to those a bit later. For now, we're going to move on then to creating your winning story. So now you should have had an idea of which category you think you're going to fit best. You need to get that category and keep it front of mind and think of that as your story theme. Okay. Now, when you're entering awards, one of the most common things I see in award entries, both when I'm judging and when I'm helping companies and looking at their previous entries, is that award entries tend to go off on a tangent. So you've been asked a question, but you haven't really answered it, or you started answering it. Excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. And then you actually go off onto a tangent of telling the story how you want to tell it, regardless of what the criteria is asking you. I see that happen so frequently, and it's a real waste of opportunity because the judges have a very clear remit, and that is to mark your award entry against the criteria that they've been given to score your entry on. So if you start making up your own criteria and going off on a tangent and telling us a story that isn't really linked to the criteria, how, as judges, are we going to mark that? Because you haven't actually answered the criteria that has been set. Okay, so you need to think about your award entry as ticking the boxes that you've been given to tick, and just paying attention to what they are and staying on track with what they are. Okay, so there's key parts to every criteria in every different award entry. And they won't necessarily ask you the question in the way that you're used to telling your answer. So it can make you feel a little bit awkward. But you need to tell your answer. You need to create your story across the question, answering the criteria very specifically, whilst also covering all of these key points. Who, what, why, where, and how. So, that's, for example, why did you make a change? Okay, have you done something in your business to make it better? What was the insight gathered telling you, and how did you use this to improve on your service or your product? You need to explain who led the initiatives, who's been involved, who are the teams, who are the stakeholders, and where are you going to in the future? How are you hoping that this is going to help your business to keep moving forward, and you're not just a one-trick pony, and actually this is a sustainable achievement. So if you look at the keywords in the award entry questions, you need to think about how you're going to reflect these back in your answers, and language is really key here. The other thing you can do is highlight those key criteria and then keep referring back to them and checking in with yourself. So there's an awful lot of work that can be done on learning how to write a story, learning how to write an entry, learning how to score points on key criteria. I can't cover that all in one short webinar today. We do lots of training on that. But, to say that these are vital tips to really recognize that in yourself. Are you meeting the criteria in your winning story, or are you actually going off on a tangent? Now, one of the things that the National Business Awards does, and I'm going to show you here, is quite unique to awards, is that not only are you asked specific questions that you need to answer about your business, but you also are given an indication of how your entry is going to be scored and the weighting and proportion of the overall score, the points that will be given to your entry. So if you look on your screen now, what I've got up here is a little chart. Now this is the proportion of the overall score for the Employer of the Year category. So just as an example, okay. So if you have a look here, you'll see that there's different weighting given to the scores for different areas of your answer. So what's obvious here is the employee engagement score takes 20%. So that's the biggest part of your answer. So you can see that. Okay, they're telling you how they're going to score you. So you need to think, okay, employee engagement takes 20%. So that's the bit that we need to talk about the most. There's where we need to make the big impact. Okay. And then next, what's in line after that? Innovation, customer service, leadership, and ethics and policies. All these areas are going to gain you another 15% of your overall score. Okay. And your overall score, obviously, you want to get as high as possible so that you can get into the final. And then the final two criteria here are growth and financial performance. So what this is telling you, what this would be telling me, is that this category is not putting your growth and your financial performance first. It's putting how you look after your employees first. And that makes a difference. So that's why it's the Employer of the Year category. If you're looking at a different category, they're going to score it differently. If you're looking at a category about scaling up, then obviously growth and financial performance are going to be much higher in the scoring levels. So it's really interesting to have a look at these key criteria and the scoring criteria before you get started, so that you do have a full understanding of what the awards judges are looking for and how they are marking you. Because if you go into it blind and you don't understand what you're being marked on, then it's going to be very difficult for you to create an award-winning entry. Okay, so that's my top tip to you today, is take a look at the categories. Once you've identified the categories that you're interested in, take a look at which ones, how they're scoring you, and think about how that fits with your business. Because sometimes it's when you get to this part that you think, oh, actually, that's not our biggest part of our story. So they want to score the biggest amount on employee engagement, but actually, we've probably got more to say in, let's say, financial performance, or let's say innovation. So let me go and have a look at one of those categories and see how they're scoring. Okay, so it's just a good tip for you to investigate a bit deeper and a bit further before you get started on your entry, and then to use this to help you to stay on track with your entry. Okay, so another huge bugbear of awards judges, I would say, is that very, very many entries come in and they just don't have the evidence to back up what's being said. So what we're looking for as judges in any award is to identify what you're doing well and then see the evidence for it. Okay, because essentially, if you make big claims without evidencing them, I'm just going to think they're hot air. Okay, so you need to think about how you're going to evidence everything that you say so that you don't miss out on valuable points by failing to provide the evidence that substantiates those claims. So I've got an example of a couple of statements on the screen here for you to have a look at. The first statement says, our business is the best in the industry. We have created incredible results from our innovative initiatives, and our newest product has blown off the shelves. Okay, that sounds really nice, exciting, but there's absolutely no evidence there to prove anything to me. Okay, so how about this instead? Our business now services 58% of the market, making us the industry leader. We have grown by 18% year on year, with new product sales creating 10% of our revenue in the last 12 months. Joe Bloggs says, well, that would be a customer testimonial. So a statement packed up with facts and backed up by a customer testimonial is so much more likely to hit the mark than one that isn't. Okay, so look when you're writing your entry, check every sentence. Are you backing up what you're saying? How can you provide the evidence of this? Or actually, do you even know what the evidence is? Have you thought about that? Or do you just hear these things bandied around in the business and you think, oh, that must be true, that must be real? Because the other thing about the National Business Awards, which is a brilliant opportunity, is that actually you get in, once you're in the shortlist, you get the opportunity to present your case to the judges face to face, Dragon's Den style, which may sound a little bit scary, but is actually a hugely exciting opportunity to put your business in front of some exceptional judges who are going to learn all about your business. So just think about anything you write in your entry. Would you be comfortable saying that face to face, and how would you back it up if you were asked questions on it? If you think about it that way, you may be a little bit more stringent with yourself about what you put in your award entry, because this award will have the opportunity to question you on anything that's in your entry, which is, as I say, take that as an opportunity to be able to expand and tell us more on that. But any level of evidence that you can get into your award entry, you really, really should. Okay. Now, evidence can be presented in lots of different ways, and it's about looking to substantiate your story in a way that fits the category really well. So, for example, if you're talking about being a customer experience champion, then you want to show the judges real customer testimonials. You want to show them that you're measuring how your customers feel with customer satisfaction scores, with NPS scores, with, surveys and feedback. You want to be able to talk about how you've grown with customer numbers or grown in customer sales. You could talk about major customer acquisitions, for example. There's some really exciting ways of putting forward that evidence. And don't miss out on that opportunity, because if you leave the judges with more questions than answers, they just end up feeling, well, I can't really give you a point for that because you didn't really back it up. And then you end up dropping points here, there and everywhere before you know it, you're not in the shortlist. Okay. So this is an opportunity to score more and more points the more evidence you put in. And as I say, just always bear in mind, if you get to the shortlist, you are going to get an opportunity to present face to face. So you will need to know your numbers. You will need to be able to know how your business works and where the evidence is that's demonstrating all these great stories that you're telling us. So some more award entry writing tips here for you. Every award entry calls for a different approach, and you might think, oh, well, I've got an award entry that I wrote last year for this other award. I think I'll just use that. I'll copy and paste. That was great. That won't work. Judges in general can tell when that's happening. Bear in mind that if you don't put a huge amount of effort into your award entries, it will probably show. We don't want things cut and paste off of your website or from your marketing materials, because that's not going to meet the criteria that I was talking about earlier. So you need to very specifically meet the criteria in the way that you're writing your entry. So a few tips here. The first one from me is to be honest. Something that people are often surprised by is that awards judges know that every industry has its challenge. My goodness, we're all going through one right now, aren't we? But there's actually so many successes and so many great stories that are born out of those challenges. And I'm sure when we're talking about this in a year's time and we're planning the awards for next year, there's going to be some amazing stories of transformation. But for this year, I'm sure you've already got some great stories that you can tell us about from the last 3 years, where you can actually be honest and say, this was a real problem for our business. We weren't dealing with our customers quickly enough, or we weren't supplying this product that they really needed, or we weren't doing this. So actually we turned things around. We rose like a phoenix from the flames, and we've turned things around, and we've developed this, or we've produced that, or we've supplied this, or we've trained for that. And this is the outcome. Okay. So it's very, very exciting to be able to talk about the challenges that you've had. And as a judge, it's brilliant to be able to read about that and to see how you've turned things around. Okay, so be honest. Don't try and cover up any challenges you've had with some kind of glossy story that's not really that believable, because actually judges are pretty realistic and down to earth, and they run businesses too. So they know that it's not all plain sailing, okay? It can make a very compelling and honest connection with the judges as well, very emotive connection. Also, my tip would be to keep it simple. So this is for those technical industries whereby we appreciate that you've developed some really clever technical wizardry in your software or in your widgets or whatever it is that you're creating. But remember that you're entering a business award that welcomes entries from every sector. So therefore, the judges also are from every sector. So you might go into that awards with your award entry and then later with a presentation thinking, oh, okay, I'm going to tell them all about this really technical thing that they're going to have no idea what you're talking about. So you've got to think, right, how do I make this plain English? How do I make this in a way that my granny can understand? Okay. So you need to ditch any jargon. You need to just not use acronyms because they're very frustrating unless you absolutely have to, and then you have to explain them in plain English first. You need to get rid of any words that can only be found in a technical journal and that only somebody from your industry would understand. Don't talk to us in your industry language. Talk to us in plain English as judges, because then we will understand exactly what you mean. You've got far more chance of getting your true story across in that way. Okay, so keep it simple. It's really important. Another one of my quick win tips is to choose facts over cliches. It's quite remarkable actually how many people choose cliches for their award entries. I think that perhaps us judges haven't read that 20 times before, probably in the same day. So I'm often reading past entries that haven't won and helping businesses to tell their story in a way that will win. But they're so full of cliches, it's no wonder they didn't get anywhere. So I'm going to give you some examples here. So the first on the screen, you'll see, the first one says, in a paradigm shift, we bit the bullet and thought outside the box to synergize with our team, break down the silos and do more with less. The net result was win-win, which is amazing. But, you know, what any judge could establish from that, I don't know. You're not in The Apprentice. It's not the 1980s. We're not all in this yuppie talk. You know, we want plain English expressions. So how about instead saying something like this? We improved both the customer and employee experience by training and developing a specialist customer service team. Within 12 months, this initiative resulted in outstanding customer and employee feedback and 20% growth in sales. Okay, plain English, easy to understand, evidenced, and as a judge, big tick in the box. Okay, so just avoid the cliches as much as you possibly can, or just risk losing points really, because that's all that they will end up doing for you. Okay, and don't forget that the quality counts for your award entry. So again, if you were ever a Cub Scout or Brownie, you'll know the motto, be prepared, is the key to success. So give yourself plenty of time to prepare your entry, as you need time to think about what you're going to include. You need time to gather the right evidence or even create it. You need time to review and edit your entry before you submit it. Now, this is brilliant because we're doing this webinar for the National Business Awards in plenty of time before the deadline, which is going to give you lots of time to either write the entry or get the support for that you need. Okay, so if you rush your entry or it shows a general lack of care and attention, then obviously you can't expect a panel of judges to judge that higher than another entry that shows that they haven't rushed it and actually they have given it a lot of care and attention, because you're in a competition. You're competing on all levels. Okay, and I always say I find people can be very proud about their words and, you know, do find it quite difficult sometimes to take feedback. And what I'd say to you is I have a professional team of writers who have been trained within an inch of their lives to write for award entries that win, and we still have a very stringent internal process of everyone proofreads, everyone feeds back, everyone makes changes, everyone accepts other people's feedback. Okay, because more than one pair of eyes is always going to improve your work. So share your entry with a colleague, share it with whoever you can and get their feedback and listen to it. Even Shakespeare had a proofreader. Okay, so no one is that good a writer in the world that they don't need a proofreader or an editor to just add that finesse, to just give a feedback on whether something was easy to understand or not. Okay, and then I always say never submit your first written draft. Lots of people really put pressure on themselves to get their entry draft written, and they're like, right, that's it, it's done, hooray, let's get it off my desk, I'm going to submit that now. No, don't do that. Let it breathe. And what I mean by letting it breathe is leave it alone, move away from it, put it in a file somewhere, and leave it a few days at least, and then come back to it. And only then will you really see what needs editing. Okay, you need to let yourself step away from it, or you can't see the wood for the trees. Then you go through the editing process, and actually the editing process is just as important and vital as the writing process. Okay, so at the editing process, this is where you can change your acronyms, you can cut out the fluff, you can shorten the long sentences, you can make the paragraphs shorter and more impactful. You know, there's so much you can do in the editing process to improve your entry. Don't skip this part. Don't leave it to the last minute and be trying to do it on the day, you know, the final day of the deadline. It's not going to help you. Okay. So you've got some time now. If you have got some time now, then get this, start the process so that you've got more and more time out there for editing. I popped on here a little link to Grammarly. That's something that I find, I just have it on my computer. So it's just a handy little tool to check your spelling, grammar and vocabulary, more so than just spell check on your computer. So little things like that, you know, will really help you and take the pressure off and help you, you know, to really make the best entry you possibly can. Okay, so that brings me to the end of my presentation. I'm going to leave you with a little quote here, which was, "You were born to win, but to be a winner, you must plan to win, prepare to win, and expect to win." And then you'll go into the competition with the right attitude. So I can't see any questions in my screen here. So I'm going to assume that perhaps I haven't got any questions, which must mean I've covered everything. If I haven't covered something for you and you want to send a question in, please do, because I'm here to answer that for you. If you think, well, you'd like to talk to me separately, then my email address is here. So obviously, as an awards consultancy, we help people to win awards through crafting their entries, helping them develop their stories, training, coaching through presentations. You know, every part of the process we can support you with. So if you have any queries about that, if you would like to take up the opportunity of a free awards consultation because you're not sure on which award to enter and how to do that, then please just get in touch with me. My email is here, which is donna@craftedbyaugust.com. You can have a look on our website there as well. We will be sharing the recording of these slides in this webinar with you so that you can take advantage of listening to it again as well. I think we've got a question here from Wayne who didn't press submit. So anyone who's sending me a question and hasn't pressed submit, that's why I haven't got it. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you, Wayne, very much for your question. So Wayne says, do smaller companies have as good a chance as larger companies? It seems all winners are larger companies. Hi, Wayne. Thank you very much for joining us today. Do you know what? This is a question I get asked a lot, and I can only give you really my answer as an independent awards consultant because, you know, I don't get involved in the judging process with the National Business Awards, so whoever wins is whoever wins. But what I would say is I judge on lots and lots of different awards, and I can tell you from a judge's experience that actually with the larger companies, the expectation is so much higher. We understand that the larger companies have bigger budgets, they have more resources, and that they often are in a position to do things that smaller companies are not. But I appreciate that as a smaller company, you feel like it's a David and Goliath situation. How am I going to go up against them? For me, it's about actually utilizing the fact that you're a small company and talking about that in your entry, and the fact that you know, with your smaller budget, this is what you've managed to do, or with your smaller team, this is what you've managed to achieve. So yes, absolutely. I know that there is no bias from the awards whatsoever, and that smaller companies do have as good a chance as larger companies. It really comes down to, what your project's been, what you've achieved, what that's meant to your business, how that's achieved growth for you. Okay, it's not just a numbers game at all. So it's very much about the story plus the evidence backing it up. So please don't let that put you off who you might come up against. I actually find that, we work with all sizes of different companies, and I'm just thinking back to our clients recently, and they're a real mix, and especially last year in the National Business Awards, we had a real mix of big names and smaller companies. So don't let it put you off. Something else I should probably say that might be useful to people about the National Business Awards that I'm not sure everyone fully grasps or is aware of, is that with the National Business Awards in particular, and remembering that I work with lots and lots of different awards across the UK and globally, there's these awards are not just simply about the award. They're actually about the entire process, because if you get into the shortlist, the awards partner have media partners. So naturally, then the media partners pick you up and you will get featured in their articles, supplements, and social media and things like that. So you get lots of PR opportunities, even just from getting into the shortlist. The National Business Awards are also absolutely brilliant at doing events that bring finalists together, in addition to the awards. So, for free, to network you and to introduce you to other businesses. And there's a lot of business that gets done between other entrants as well. And it's a real thriving hub of very positive business opportunities throughout the awards process. Now, I'm not just saying that. I'm not on commission, anyone, in case you think, but this is my experience of the National Business Awards, genuinely. I have a client last year who actually was a smaller business and was in the final of the awards. And actually, they've ended up leaving the entire process with a mentor and all kinds of things going on for their business that they never would have had the opportunity to get involved in had they not have got involved in the awards process. So even if you're not sure and you're thinking, oh, well, I don't really know, and particularly for the smaller businesses out there, I'd say get yourself in the competition, because it cannot do anything but good for you. And if you get into the final and you can start shouting about that to your customers, to your suppliers, to your partners, to your employees who are helping you to get there, it's already a great story to tell. Okay, it's just the first part of the process, and you can already get value from that. So please don't let being a small business put you off. And to me, that's it's a good opportunity to show why you're just as good, if not better, than the big boys. Thank you, Wayne, for your reply. Very confident. I like it. Wayne says you normally win these situations with David and Goliath. Brilliant. Well, bring it on, Wayne. Lee says, is this available as a PowerPoint because you joined out? Yes, everything's being recorded, so please don't worry about that. We will be sharing that with you afterwards. We've also got a great offer for you, as well as you've taken the time out of your day to join this webinar. We're going to share with you, the awards are going to share with you an extension to the early bird, so that you can get some money off your entry process as well. And we've also got an offer that we'll be sharing with you that's up on the screen now. So good opportunities for you there. Sunita says, which recent business idea won an award just for presenting information very well? Not really sure what you're asking me. Are you asking for an example of a winner, Sunita? Well, if you have a look on the National Business Awards website, you'll be able to see previous winners. So that will get you some information there on who's won those categories before. Something else I would say here, where you say just for presenting information well, you don't just win because you happen to present your information well. It's about the story and it's about the evidence, okay? So this award has two parts to it, as I said. So you've got the written entry, which could potentially get you to the shortlist. Once you're at the shortlist, you will then be invited to make a presentation to the judges. Now, those presentations will take place later after the summer. But in those presentations, if you imagine like Dragon's Den style, you will have the opportunity to tell the judges specifically about your business and about your story, and they will have the opportunity to question you. So at no point can you just win the award for just writing a nice story. You have got to stand up in front of those judges and be able to present your business and the evidence for your business and the achievements, really, really well. So that's what's going to get you to be a winner. So Sunita, I'm just clicking on your question. A personal comment. Yeah. So, I mean, all sorts. One thing I would say, okay, so if you're thinking, well, what can I say about my business that's going to really get, the judges excited or be different, make me stand out and something that I find often is lacking in award entries, certainly when I'm judging them, is the personal side of things, is the emotions and is the emotive story. So remember, okay, you think, well, I'm writing an award entry, this is a business award, I'm writing this award entry from my business to those business awards. And it's very easy to forget the personal connection that's actually involved in this. You're not. You're writing your business story and your business journey from you as a business leader or as a representative of that business to other judges who are human beings, who experience life and experience buying and selling and interacting and all of these things. So you want to make sure that your award entry and your presentation later on make a personal and emotive connection. The awards that the companies that win, and certainly that get me when I'm judging, are the companies that don't only have a great story in that they've got the evidence and they've got the growth and they've got the success and they've got the good ideas and they've got the innovation and all the rest of it. They actually connect with me on a personal level and they make me feel as a judge, I would like to work with that business. I would like to buy from that business. I would feel safe and secure if that business was my supplier or if that business was my partner or if I sent my granny to go and get help from that business. They're the ones that make the personal connection. So think about how your business, what it is that you're doing is making a difference to other human beings, okay? And think about how you can build that into your story to develop your story in a way that demonstrates you're not just a business, you're not just number crunching, you're not just there to grow money, you're there to help people in some way. We're all working human to human, and if there's anything that can possibly be positive that comes out of this entire difficult business situation we're all in right now with COVID-19 is actually, what is this making us do that's human to human, that's helping other people, and how are we adapting our businesses to really focus on the individual and really make that emotive connection? And so for me as a judge, as I say, I'm not judging these awards, I'm completely independent of these awards, but as a judge in general, they're the business stories that win. They're the ones that really stand out. They're the ones that are doing something to help other people in some way through their way of working, that also is growing their business. Okay, so try and think about your business in that respect and try and put all of those pieces of the story together to give the judges the emotional connection as well as the kind of hard number crunching sort of evidence side of things. Okay. So has anyone else got any questions? I don't think we've got any through at the moment, unless anyone else hasn't pressed submit. So as I wanted to say, if you want to ask me any personal questions or want to discuss your business in more detail, then please do contact me directly. You can also find me on LinkedIn. It's probably the best place to find me online, where I share things. So if you just put my name into LinkedIn, you'll be able to connect with me there and send me a message if you want to as well. So it's been a real pleasure today to talk to you. Thank you very much. And I hope it's been of some help and some use to you to find out a bit more about the awards and to encourage you to get involved, because really this is a hugely positive opportunity for your business and one of the best and most supportive awards out there that can help you to really hit the ground running with some amazing PR, with straight from the shortlist and then into the final later on in the year. So good luck to everybody. Wish you all the very, very best. Stay safe in this very difficult time for everybody, but support each other. Keep moving forward. We will come through this, and we're going to come out of this with some exceptional awards and some exceptional stories and some real positivity to move into 2021 with. So thank you very much. And I look forward to hopefully connecting with some of you and seeing you at the awards as well. Okay, thank you. Take care.